Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The bats went away from the Texas Rangers. They lost 7-1 to the Athletics in Arlington. They'll play, and we'll have it at 1 for you on Double T 97.3 today to close out that rare 4-game series. Astros also fell last night, losing at home to the Detroit Tigers. They're off, and now they head to Chicago to take on the White Sox over the weekend, and we'll have the games for you on 100.7 The Score. They play Friday night and Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday afternoon. So we'll do all that. All right, here's a question, and Jamie will expand on this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can weigh in too. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. Hey, Jamie, I was listening to the broadcast last night, and I thought I heard Jeff say some young Texas Tech fans were screaming bad things to our pitcher.
Yeah, I don't try not to be too overly sensitive about this. We know that sports is sports and fans are fans, and fans are allowed to say what they want to say to a certain degree. There's no question that Zach Crotchfeld was struggling last night and did not pitch well. There's no way to get around that. But there were a group of I think I counted 10 kids last night, Tech students. I would say they look to me, I don't want to characterize them as anything, but they look to me as fraternity students. Just their dress, they kind of, how they all kind of look alike, right? I think that's somewhat fair. And they were putting away the beers pretty good. And right off the bat, they were wearing out Zach Crotchfeld. They were Tech students, and it started maybe 2 pitches, 3 pitches into the game. And if you've ever been to a sporting event where there are not a lot of people there, and you have 1 or 2 guys that are extremely vocal, you know, it makes it uncomfortable for everybody because you hear everything that is said. And they were, basically not, they were making fun of him, really is the only way to describe it, right? Making fun of his struggles to find the strike zone. Most of us have never been in that position, to be out there on a stage like that and feel that like, oh my goodness, I can't throw a strike, or I can't get a serve in, or I can't, hit a putt, whatever. Yeah. And I can only imagine how tough it is, right? You see it at all levels, right? And Zach was having one of those nights. He's not a guy that's had big command issues throughout the course of the season, but he was definitely having it last night. And it was extremely disturbing to me that these 10 students, and really only 3 or 4 of them probably were super vocal, were making fun of our guy, and they were just, they just were ruthless towards him. And unfortunately, there were a group of about 4 fans behind them that thought they were funny, and I think everybody else in the stadium was uncomfortable, because you could hear everything they were saying. Whether it affected Zach Crotchfeld or not, I don't know. I mean, you got to be mentally tough, right? And it's one thing to go to somebody else's ballpark and, the fans getting onto you and, doing the ball,
you kind of expect
5
that, right?
And ball 6. Yeah, absolutely you do. You do. And that's all fair game, okay? And I don't know that these kids said anything vulgar or anything like that, so I don't necessarily feel like they deserve to be thrown out or anything like that. But it was uncomfortable. It was that's one of our athletes out there competing for our team. And these students were just, again, just ruthless to him.
And you said it started like on the third pitch of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like it was 6 innings in or something like that.
Yeah, they had their liquid confidence going early on, and you could just tell that was a factor in the whole deal. And it was, again, uncomfortable. It made my heart break a little bit for Zach. Knowing what he was going through. Zach's a great young man, and has been a good player for the Red Raiders, but that was not his best night, and these guys made it worse for him. And it was just, there are certain things, like when I heard the Shedeur Sanders story about the prank phone call, I don't care for Shedeur Sanders or anything that has to do with the Sanders family, and that made my stomach turn and made my heart hurt a little bit for Shedeur.
Yeah.
During a tough time, you don't want to kick a man when he's down, and you don't want. And so even though I'm not a fan, that I just thought that was so incredibly wrong, and I felt for him. And obviously this magnified that times 10 with a young man who plays for our team. The way I felt last night. And for our fans, for these kids to think, hey, let's go to the game and just rag on our guy. And just again, other teams' fans, it's one thing, but they were laughing at our guys' struggles.
And you really needed somebody in the stands, probably and you mentioned a tech football player.
Wish there was a tech football player there.
Go over there and tell them to shut the hell up.
Yeah, we're not going to treat our guys like that. You guys need to shut it down.
I mean, at some point in time, and I'm sure that the laughing behind them just encouraged them more.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So the people that were behind them laughing at the fact that you're making fun of your pitcher. I mean, I get it. We all know what the definition of fan is and fanatic, but I mean, to do that to your own, it's just it was unnerving. It's sad.
It just kind of, it was distracting. It was, I think, for everybody else in the stadium, that at least, and they were right down in front of us. So I don't know if you could hear all the way over on the third base side, but again, I didn't think they need to be arrested or thrown out or anything like that. But just really disappointing that we have students that would come to our games and just rag on our guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just rag on our guy. And at one point I heard him turn around and go, no wonder we're 1-47 on the season or whatever. Just ruthless. I get it. It's been a really disappointing season, extremely disappointing season. And these two games this week did nothing but add to that. But, man, they're competing for us. I would like to think that our fan base would be a little bit more gentle or kind than that. And
it's one thing maybe to have a comment or two, but to be relentless, I think is
where they were definitely relentless.
Where you go over the top with it is just it's unfortunate, it's uncalled for, and hopefully somebody will do something about it next time.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
To the calendar, this is the very, very merry month of May, the first day of it, 2025. And with this day in sports history, here's Jeff McGuire.
1891.
Pavo Nurmi.
He's not that old. He's in the 20s, but he's not 1891.
The Grand Master thing.
No.
Okay.
This would be legendary pitcher.
Oh.
Cy Young. Might have heard of this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. First game played. Gets his first win at Cleveland's League Park in the Cleveland Spiders' 12-7 win over the Red Legs from Cincinnati.
Cleveland Spiders. I think I like that name better than what they are now.
Underutilized mascot name.
And I like Red Legs, too.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Somebody be offended by that, though.
Well, if they're wearing red socks, they do, in fact, have red legs.
Yeah, don't be so sensitive, man. It's just the color of your socks.
We got a team called the Red Sox, though.
Well, that's why we're calling them the Red Legs, because there's copyright infringement and stuff. 1920. Legendary slugger Babe Ruth records his first home run for the Yankees in a 6-0 win over his former club, the Red Sox. 1951. Future Baseball Hall of Fame slugger Mickey Mantle hits career home run number 1 in an 8-3 win over the White Sox in Chicago. Side note, Minnie Manuso, White Sox Hall of Famer,
yeah,
homered in his debut in the same game.
Wow. How about that? That's a little nugget there.
Now, everyone's going to talk about the Mick. Don't get me wrong, but little tidbit. 1991, big tidbit. In fact, you can't even call this a tidbit. This is a big bit. Texas Rangers starting pitcher Nolan Ryan pitches his major league record 7th no-hitter, beating Toronto 3-0. Ryan is the oldest to throw a no-hitter at 44 years old.
It was and it's amazing the number of one-hitters that he has as well. You know, I mean, and then how late in his career he got like 5, 6, and 7. You know, it was just crazy.
And in 2016, the number 10 Texas Tech Red Raiders claimed its 5th Big 12 Conference Series victory of the season as the Red Raiders limited number 6 TCU to just 6 hits in a 3-1 win. Red Raiders used 5 strong innings from Ty Dameron and 4 shutout frames from the bullpen to secure their first regular season series victory against a top 10 ranked opponent on the road since Tech took 2 of 3 at number 10 Kansas State in 2009. It is National Chocolate Parfait Day.
Okay, I'm in.
It's okay.
I mean, it feels like you're eating air to a degree.
Yeah, it's just not much there. It's okay.
Yeah.
Birthday for a Red Raider?
Mm-hmm.
This one.
5 punts, 49-yard average for Skates, and here he goes. Puts his foot into it. This one a wobbler towards the right side of the field. Welker takes it at the 11. He's going to try to get to the right sideline, breaks the tackle. He's got running room at the 30, the 35-40. He's in midfield, the 45-40. He may go. 25, 10, touchdown Red Raiders. Oh my goodness. 89 yards on the punt return, and Tech has the lead.
44 today for Mr. Wes Welker.
Wow. Okay.
I would think most Red Raider football fans will tell you that the most fun play game, whatever that they've ever been at in their lifetime is the Texas game. Understandably so. It would be really difficult to beat that one.
Yes.
For me, that's my answer right there. That Wes Welker punt return, that game was awesome.
Also celebrating a birthday today, Tim McGraw is 57. And on this day in 1960, an American U-2 spy plane is shot down while conducting espionage over the Soviet Union. The incident derailed an important summit meeting between President Dwight D. Eisenhower and Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev, who was scheduled later that month. The meeting collapsed immediately, and the summit was called off. Eisenhower considered the, quote, stupid U-2 mess one of the worst debacles of his presidency. The pilot, Francis Gary Powers, was released in 1962 in exchange for a captured Soviet spy.
Yeah, I didn't realize I'd forgotten that he was in captivity that long. And I was thinking of Gary Powers when you brought that up. It's like, okay, and then you said that. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Odd fact. I don't want to say fun, but another fact that goes with this would not be the last time that he crashed. He actually died in a helicopter crash doing traffic coverage in Los Angeles.
Is that right?
That is right.
Wow.
And that, this day in sports history.
A 1%er right there. All right, time for our lucky local winning word. Double T 97.3 has teamed up with the Home Zone, helping you make your house a home to give away local weekly cash of $500 every Tuesday and Thursday. Today's Thursday, to local listeners just like you. I mean, I'm a listener too, so is Jamie, Jeff. But we can't win, so you get to win. All you have to do is listen at this time every weekday, plus 8:45 and 4:45 for the local winning word. Then go to doubletsportsnetwork.com for your chance to win and qualify. All you have to do is enter in the word and a little bit of information about yourself. And the more times you enter, the more chances you have to win. And we'll give away $2,500 on the final day on June the 26th. That'll get here before we know it. All right, on this very merry month of May, first day of it, at 6:51, the word is jazz. Jazz. J-A-Z-Z. Jazz. Okay? So there you go. If you just want to put one Z in, I'm sure that Jamie will accept it, but jazz.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, but just, maybe you have a jazz in your life.
Okay.
Okay? Or maybe you have a little jazz in your life. Maybe maybe your only one Z works on your keyboard. I don't know. But there you go. Go to...
Hang on. Wait.
How many Z's do you? How many Z's?
How many Z's are on your keyboard?
I knew as soon as I said that. I knew as soon as one of you guys was going to.
The rest of it,
Even
I was
if
going to
you
go
do
through.
have to, Chuck, you can just push the same one twice.
You can push the same one twice, right?
You're allowed.
It's all from the Home Zone, helping you make your house a home, and Double T 97.3. All right, going back to your nugget on Nolan Ryan, he threw a career record tying 12 one-hitters. Any guess as to who he has that tied with? I will say this. He is older than Nolan Ryan. He was before Ryan.
Walter Johnson.
No, he's after Walter Johnson. He's in between Walter Johnson and Bob Gibson.
Well, Bob Gibson would have been my next guess.
Okay.
I'm out of guesses.
His first name is Bob.
Feller.
Yes.
Euchre.
No.
Much more fun.
Better answer.
Better answer. So he's tied with him for one-hitters. Nolan Ryan also pitched 18 two-hitters. 18 two-hitters. And these are complete games. Okay. Just keep that in mind. It's not like, we pulled him in the fifth and he had a two-hitter, so he gets a two-hitter.
He was doing that. He was doing that Advil, man.
Yeah.
That's how he's able to do it the whole time.
Yeah, you don't call them one hitters or two hitters.
I know.
If you're not
I was
finishing the game.
I was just helping the under 35 crowd that's not used to pitchers pitching 9 innings.
Okay.
They're thinking 5 is a quality start. He never won a Cy Young, and never had a perfect game. And this article says both largely attributed to his high walk rate. Okay, high walk rate. 6:53 this morning here on the morning drive. I'm pretty certain Jeff knows. Do you know what the significance of May Day is?
It's Flag Day? No. That's June 1st.
June 14th.
Not something to do with people crashing. Mayday.
No, that was funny though.
I wasn't really trying to be funny.
More widely recognized meaning of May Day in many parts of the world is its International Workers' Day, commemorating the labor movement and fight for workers' rights. The traditional 8-hour day, kind of attributed to this movement.
Wow, an 8-hour day. What a concept. It'd be fun.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thank you for being with us today, Jamie, Jeff, and I, here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that of the mobile app. Mobile app is presented by Happy State Bank. Visual Edge IT hotline, it's open too for you, 806-771-0973. Amongst many of my many stops yesterday, I met a Morning Drive listener, new Morning Drive listener. I think she's been with us for quite some time, but just wanted to let me know that she was among our throng of female listeners who enjoy our fine radio broadcasts.
Okay.
So
thanks for listening.
They are out there. I said that I would report her attendance to you so that you could take it down. Okay?
Okay.
So there you go.
Probably a big thrill for people, right?
To what?
To get to meet you and then to get to hear you talk about them on the radio.
I think so.
It's
yeah.
Like
I think it's more the thrill to be able to say, oh, yeah, hey, they mentioned me on the radio,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I met a guy last night that wanted to know where Mark Finkner was, like we're joined at the hip all the time, but just 4 months out of the year, for the most part. Let's see, November, December, January, February, March, about 5 months out of the year. Okay. You and I we're together 6 to 9 every day, Monday through Friday.
Lucky us.
Yeah. That's about all you could take, I think. Any more than 3 hours a day, I think that's a big number.
3 hours a day with anybody is a lot. Really.
I mean, that's 15 hours a week.
I know.
You're only supposed to work 40, and he does 15 with you.
I know.
That's why it's always so hard for me to imagine that the lucky lady sits there all day Sunday watching NFL games with you.
I don't know if she's watching, but she's with me. Oh. She's with me.
It's a good missus right there.
She's She's a good egg.
No one argues that, Jamie.
I know.
Yeah.
No one argues that.
Okay, so the university announced yesterday that they'd sign another receiver. Okay, which
Why
is
not?
why not? Appears we got a big, huge place over there. You know, the Womble football facility. This gentleman's name is Roy Alexander. He comes to Texas Tech from Incarnate Word, and this will be his final year of eligibility. He spent the first 3 seasons at the University of Albany, and then had a breakout year last year with Incarnate Word, ranked 2nd nationally in receptions, 5th nationally in receiving touchdowns, and was 10th in the nation in receiving yards at the FCS level. Over his career, 202 catches, 2,422 receiving yards, and 20 touchdowns. Sounds like he'll make us a hand.
That's right.
Okay. So there you go. Would you like to take a wild guess what the University of Albany's nickname is?
Pioneers.
No.
My best friend in high school played basketball for him. I don't remember.
Great Danes.
Great Danes. Okay.
Played basketball for Albany?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So at any rate, so he's joining the flock, I guess I should say, the flock of Red Raiders. But we still haven't had a formal announcement of Micah Hudson. I have to think that is
Not going to happen?
No, I think he's coming. I just think it's
I think that they're not going to announce anything.
Intentional. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not a whole lot to announce. Because he played here last year, and that may be part of the philosophy. Is like, well, I mean, he played here last year.
I think it's more about, hey, we're
not going to make a big deal about it.
We're not going to make a big deal out of this. You want to come back and you make amends and all that, but we're going to you're going to have to earn your way back. There's some talk about him being a preferred walk-on. I don't know if that's true or not. But like, hey, you're going to earn your way back here, and we're not going to just overly promote you and
make a big ballyhoo about it, and hullabaloo and all those kinds of things.
I kind of want to see the release though. Only because, when you go back over his last year's stats. He joins the Red Raiders after spending 6 minutes at Texas A&M. Last season for the Red Raiders, he caught, X passes for X yards. And
only if the press release says, while in College Station, he did not play in a single game, but he did punch the starting quarterback in the face.
See, this is the release I want, yes. As much as every Red Raider fan wants that
We should just
release.
write it and put it out there.
Oh, okay. You're a good writer. Both of you guys are good writers. So you can.
It would probably be more fun, right?
Somebody says Hudson announced it. We are aware of that.
Yeah,
we're aware of that. It's just usually, I mean, there's those types of things are announced by the university. But I think I'm not being critical by any stretch of the imagination. I just thought it was interesting that you signed a wide receiver yesterday, and you're bringing another one here. I mean, it seems like we've added an awful lot of folks since the spring game.
Yeah, I mean, any concerns that we had about getting down to the roster limit doesn't seem like we're really concerned.
No, you feel like, and survival of the fittest between now and the day before the first home football game. I'm sure there'll be some attrition of guys that will say, okay, I can see that I'm not going to play here, and if I go down to the FCS level or go down to
but it's too late for them to hit the portal now.
Right. Yeah.
It's too late. If you're some young wide receiver that's like, I can see the writing on the wall now. We just signed another guy and Micah came in. It's too late.
Yeah. So
I can't hit the portal now.
Yeah. So sorry about you.
I don't like sorry about you there, but
okay.
I mean, it is what it is. It's just the way of college sports now. But I would hate it for those guys, right? But if you were some fringe wide receiver that like, okay, maybe I can work my way up. No, they just brought 2 guys, and I get it. I'm not going to be able to play here. I understand. So let me go play at Abilene Christian or Tarleton or whatever.
Yeah.
They can't do it now.
Yeah, makes it harder.
They're kind of stuck here for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. I don't mean to whine about it, but I would hate that. If that was my kid, You
probably would have counseled him to, hey, you're going to be here. You're going to be a guy that's a practice player. You're not going to play in games or blah, blah, blah.
It would depend on what my kid wanted.
Mm-hmm.
If my kid was like the most important thing is for him to play and contribute and all that, then I would maybe say to him, hey, you need to see what's in front of you and realize that that's probably unlikely.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is that maybe he wants to just go to school here and be a Red Raider and all those kinds of things. Yeah. So
maybe most don't.
Yeah.
Most come here to play football, want to play football.
Yeah. So the spring window closed on April the 25th. There's also additional windows that can open whenever a head coach leaves their program. There's a potential 5-day window in January for players on teams that compete in the college football playoff and bowl games after the initial window closes. So, yeah, there's no window anymore. So there you go. 7:25. Jamie's question of the day is next. I've got a basketball kind of note that I think is kind of interesting. We'll get to that at 8 o'clock this morning here on the Morning Drive.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, you just never know when these questions are going to come to me.
Okay.
Today's question comes to me from this day in sports history today, and I mentioned something to you guys that the Tech football game with Wes Welker's punt return against the Aggies was my favorite Red Raider football game that I ever attended. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're not going to go just football here, and I am going to take the Texas versus Texas Tech football game out of the mix.
Okay, 08 game, yeah.
It feels like so many Red Raider fans would have that. But
sure.
Tell me your favorite all-time Tech sporting event. Doesn't have to be football. That you watched in person. And it can be home, road, neutral, whatever. That you watched in person, not on television. What was the favorite game that you went to?
Brought you joy and all those kinds of things, right? Man, there's so many candidates. I've used this game as an example because when obviously I didn't go to school here and I'm not from here, and when I got here,
as fast as you could.
Yeah, I'm not going to say as fast as I could, but when I got here, when I eventually landed here,
that's what the bumper sticker says. Chuck.
I know.
Just work with us.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't have any memories, where guys would say, "Hey, remember in 1972 or whatever?" And it wasn't necessarily the most enjoyable game. It had an awesome ending, but it finally gave me, kind of at least a foothold. And I didn't know at that point in time that I was going to be here forever. And, fortunately for some of you, and unfortunately for some of you, I'm going to be here forever. I ain't going anywhere. But that Zach Thomas return for a touchdown against Texas A&M was my first real Texas Tech moment where I could say I was there. And, I've been to, a lot of events, prior to that where they were big events with, my friends or my family or my just people that I was around, but nobody here cared about any of those events, and I understood that. So for me, I think that Zach Thomas return for a touchdown against Texas A&M would be it for me.
Okay. It's a good one.
It is a good one. I wish I would have been here for that one because that would have probably been near the top of my list as well because it is one of my favorite highlights of all of the highlights that we have. I'm going to go June 9th, 2019. Red Raider baseball beating Oklahoma State in the Super Regional to go to Omaha. That was a playoff game. That was at home against a rival. Everything was on the line. You were hosting. It was game 3 of the series. That atmosphere, that the outcome, all of it. Best experience I've ever had as a Red Raider fan.
Okay.
Somebody else had said that too on the chat line.
Chuck, I'm really surprised that you didn't pick the Final Four game to go to the national championship game, or even the national championship game.
Yeah, I mean those were.
Went.
I went. I was there. I was there for the Final Four game, yeah, and the national championship game, and those were great moments. But it just, I guess, that Zach Thomas game for me felt like it. I finally had a sense of community, with people.
See, I thought he was going to say when Tech beat Nebraska.
That was see, there's a list of them. Yeah, and that was one, right? That was one, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I stood up and screamed at Tom Osborne, who had already left the stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did everybody else.
Every dog has his day, and I just had mine. And then the other game that kind of came to my mind, and this is an odd game. This is a Pat Knight basketball game where you won. I can't remember if it was overtime or double overtime against Washington. And it was kind of one of those games. It was a non-conference game.
I remember watching that game.
And just I felt so good for the Tech basketball team and for him. I didn't know him. I mean, I just felt good for him. I was just there as a fan. And I thought, hey, maybe this is the start of something. It turned out to not be. But I thought, maybe this is the start of something. Maybe this is the game that gets him over the hump. I mean, I was at the Bob Knight game where he broke Dean Smith's record for all-time wins. The Alamo Bowl in 2009 that was, coached by Ruffin McNeil. That was an exciting game. Finally, there was a bowl game there's a game in Dallas where I finally saw a win in the Cotton Bowl. I'm like, okay, I don't have to come back to this place anymore. I've seen 3 losses here. And that was the game against Baylor. Somebody says this, the game where Beard returns.
Jamie.
Well, I thought he'd already said.
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Jamie.
Chuck was on a roll.
He was.
This is crazy, and you guys are going to probably laugh at me. I'm picking a loss.
This is the most Jamie thing ever.
There's one.
And it's to a rival that I hate dramatically.
Ooh.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. To walk into TD Ameritrade Ballpark in 2014 and for the Red Raiders to play a game, I don't even care what happened. You lost to TCU by a run, but it was the first time you had been in Omaha and made it to the College World Series, and it was surreal to me that Texas Tech was there. Mm-hmm. And I hated that you lost 2 one-run games there, but it was, just to be there on that day I felt just amazing for Red Raider fans, and there were a ton of them there. It was awesome. And disappointing that you lost, but that was my favorite game to ever be at.
Okay.
Yeah. I obviously hate losing to TCU, but it was just so cool to be there.
Sure. I bet you it was.
Yeah.
Our friend Choice Woodman says the 06 Insight Bowl, beating College of Charleston to get to Omaha, and the Final Four win over Michigan State, my top in each sport. Okay. He was an overachiever on that one.
Well, tell Choice to read his email, see if he's still overachieving.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. The three of us come to you from the First United Bank studio. Anxiously await your thoughts, comments, reactions to things, just your overall commentary on life and events that you experience on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that other mobile app. The Visual Edge IT hotline, if you are not in the mood to text and you're in the mood to talk, you can at 806-771-0973. I discovered something yesterday during our Fine Radio program. I had a friend of mine who was needing help with something, and I was texting him. And I said, it's easier to text and drive than it is to text and talk. Not that you should text and drive, right? I mean, it's not something that you should do. I found that my skill set of texting and talking, that's hard.
When you say text and drive, are you saying voice to text in your car or actual texting?
Actual texting. I don't know how to...
That's easier than texting and talking?
Yeah.
Texting and talking is sometimes hard.
Yeah. Like I was talking and texting at the same time yesterday at one point in time. Just very brief. Just very brief. I had to answer a question. Okay.
Okay.
And I thought I was coherent with my talking to you and my texting, but it's just like, wow, this is like splitting the brain in half here. Yeah. Half of it's got to go to you and half of it's got to go to the text. And then I was thinking about texting and driving. It's like, that's far easier than texting and talking.
So the downside of you messing that up is that you say the wrong word, or you text the wrong word, or you misspell something, or you mispronounce something, or you whatever. The flip side, the bad side of texting and driving, if you mess something up, you could die or you could kill other people.
Yeah, I try not to do it when traffic.
Maybe your point is valid, just because I think both are somewhat difficult to do. At the same time, I would err on the side of caution on the second one, and probably try to avoid it.
Is it easier, or you just haven't run into an accident while you're texting and driving?
Yeah, not even been close.
Because you're paying more attention to your text in the texting and driving.
No.
While you're trying to send a text while talking, you're trying to pay attention to both.
Yeah.
And you notice that you're bad at both.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think I'm bad at both. I think I'm...
That's not what the question was. That wasn't the question. It was, do you notice that you're bad at one and not notice that you're not paying attention to your driving while you're texting?
No, I know that.
Oh, you notice that you're not paying attention to your driving.
No, but I'm pretty careful. It's usually when I'm just on the Sharpabon.
Doing 150. Yeah,
No,
that's really safe.
I was doing just 70 this morning. I mean, the last couple of mornings, the wackadoodles on getting onto the loop and on the Sharpabon have been out. Yesterday was particularly bad. Today was not quite as bad, but it was still a couple of awkward moments on my way to work this morning.
Wow. Is this the guy who was texting and driving at 70?
I did not text and drive this morning.
What defines them as wackadoodles? That they weren't driving fast enough in front of you?
No, or they were awkwardly trying to get in, or wouldn't let me on, or just
everybody didn't just move out of your way.
No.
Geez, people, don't you know Chuck pays big money for these roads?
No, it wasn't that at all. It's just they just weren't following the procedures properly in terms of getting on and getting off and letting people on and off and kind of swerving in and out. I mean, it was. I mean, I probably am a wackadoodle sometimes too. This question from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I'll get to the basketball here in a moment that I wanted to talk about. And Jamie has alluded to Parker Hutera this year and his injury. Do we have any prognosis for him for the weekend?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything recently about it. So I hope that he's still progressing like Coach Tadlock said. And no idea whether he'll be. I mean, last we heard Coach Tadlock, he said that he was throwing again. So hopefully soon, because you could really use him.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And especially this weekend, right? Let's see here. Just so you know, I have watched and listened to you guys for years, and I am a woman. I think you would be surprised at how many women listeners you have. Oh. Well, thank you. I'd like to think it's because we're, I think, intuitive and somewhat charming, and Jamie's good looking, and, he's
people can't see me. That helps.
The group, yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for making that awkward.
Thank you for listening, though.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for listening, putting up with us, and having us be a part of your morning or whatever it is that part of your day that you get to us. We're glad to have you. Okay, 8:07 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts and comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com. I'll effort this. Try not to do it at all, Chuck. Yeah, I'll try not to do it at all. I'll try to be better at that.
Yeah. I can't wait till Chuck gets pulled over for speeding while texting and driving. That's going to be a fun ticket for him to explain.
I do wonder if your car has the capability to do the text.
Or my phone? You mean my phone? My phone or my car?
Your car.
Is it your car that has to have that ability?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with it, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Can you have a conversation through your car?
Yeah.
On the phone?
Yeah.
Well, then I would guess that they can do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hooked up to my Bluetooth, yeah. Would you like me to call you on my way to work and say, hey, G?
No, I wouldn't. Nope.
Hey, Jamie, where are you? Where are you?
No.
Here's where I am. Here's where I am. No.
You can do it all day long. I won't answer. You can call all you want. Probably by the second time, I'll just block your number.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Because
I feel like I'm blocked right now.
That would interrupt like a good 80s on 8 song or something. That, jamming to on the way to work.
This men listen for Jamie's good looks too. Even a little bit more awkward. Chuck, how do you know that Jamie is good looking? I just assume. Just assume. Because I think everybody wants to be a little like Jamie.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. I think people are envious of your
I don't think
life and lifestyle.
Well,
and I think you're down to earth kind of good sensibility that you have. And we get it all out of whack, but that's kind of what makes it work.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet973.com.